All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with UCLA today. We are joined by head coach Kelly Inouye-Perez and then players Maya Brady and Charlize Palacios. We'll start with a statement from Coach Inouye-Perez and a reminder to make sure you silence your phones and electronic devices, and then give your name and affiliation when you get the mic, please. So, Coach.
First, I'd like to just congratulate all 8 teams. To getting to this point, this is the goal, the dream of every team, so I'd like to congratulate all of them. I also just have great gratitude for USA Softball being able to just have great support and recognition, and as well as the city of Oklahoma. This is the stage, and our ability to have the opportunity to compete for a championship is something that every player and coach strives for. So we're excited. We're ready to play softball. I love where my team's at, and I think the rest is we're just here to create memories.
Open up to questions. Front row, left right here, Jenny.
I was hoping you all could talk about this. I'm sure back in Los Angeles you've talked about it, but just getting to this point after the start for the season, was there a juncture where you all felt like you turned a corner, you became the team that we see now? What's sort of the how that happened from all y'all's perspective?
I'll start, and I don't think there's ever one time that you say now, but I think the whole season is it's there. There's a journey for a reason. And you learn your lessons and really figure out who you are as a team. So I always choose to schedule the hardest path. So we played a lot of quality opponents earlier in the season, and then the Pac-12 is tough. And along the way, we're very clear about I break things down into segments, and we're very clear about what we're trying to accomplish. We're learning about ourselves as a team. We're learning how to play in a 3-game series. We're learning how to, never let up at the end of Pac-12. Then you have the Pac-12 tournament. So everything has purpose and intent. It did start off rough. We were not at 100%. I lost 3 starters in weekend 1, and we weren't 100% healthy in the circle. So being able to keep our eyes on the prize of understanding that our best was yet to come was very real. And we built a lot of trust. I believe that we're battle tested. There was a lot of emotion and frustration because that's what sports does. But there is a clear path from my staff to the players, all of us. We were in it together. We knew we were heading in a certain direction. We have all kinds of moments that we had a decision to make. When things got hard, certain people quit, and there's other people that level up. And this team decided to keep moving forward and continuing to improve, even though it was very challenging. So the entire season prepared us for that. But there are definitely some great stories of moments when it was very hard, down by 7 at home, and being able to find a way to stop and fight back and win ball games. But that's how our season started. We were down by 4 in game 1 against Maryland, and that team fought back, and we won game 1 5-4. So we were like, oh, here we go. But I'm very proud of where we are now. Very intentional, but decisions were made. I call it Bruin armor. We're very battle tested because we didn't quit when things got hard.
All right, we'll go second row on the left here, Cliff.
Yeah.
Sorry, hold on.
Yeah, what are your thoughts?
I think she said it all. I think that was really good.
Yeah, I would also just say probably Stanford. I think for us that was a really big weekend just because obviously they're like a great opponent, and going against one of the best pitchers in the country, I think as in a little bit of a younger offense, it was a pretty big challenge. So I think for us, just being able to go there and end up sweeping, I think it was like just a really big confidence boost for everybody.
Facts.
Okay, now we'll go to Cliff, second row left.
Yeah, Cliff Brown, Associated Press. Obviously, this is it for the Pac-12. You have obviously a lot of history with it, a lot of winning. What does it mean to you to have an opportunity to represent that conference one more time here?
Yeah. First and foremost, I'm so proud to be able to have represented the Pac-12 as a player, an assistant, as a head coach. And there were so many opportunities throughout the Pac to be able to just leave our mark as far as the Conference of Champions. So great memories, great players, great coaches that continued on to play professionally, to play representing USA softball as well as other countries. But when you think about the greatest that have played in the history and the championships, it is the Pac-12, and that's a big reason why so many people would like to, that wanted to compete in the Pac. But I'm very proud of our Bruins that had a chance to be able to close out the regular season, the last regular season, as champions, to close out the Pac-12 tournament as champions. That's our goal, is to be able to represent the best of the best. And, as a Bruin, to be able to say we were a first in a lot in the Pac-12, and then also to be able to say that, we were able to close out in history, just makes me proud to represent something that I truly believe there is no competition against what we've done. The history speaks for itself, and the rest, the sport is very exciting. But the Pac-12 definitely, we were known for not only athletic excellence, but academic excellence as well. So I'm very proud and also very sad that it's coming to an end, and we're going to start a new chapter and get ready to see where everyone goes next year. But for now, yeah, we're repping the Pac.
Front row left here, Joe.
Kelly, you kind of touched on it there at the end, but I was going to ask you, is it bittersweet in a way because the Pac-12 has been the gold standard for so long throughout history, with you guys spearheading that this is the end?
I mean, bittersweet. It was so out of, yes, the answer is yes. I'm just going to say it was out of our control. I think there are things in place that are for the bigger picture. The one thing, when I first found out, it was only UCLA and SC doesn't have softball, so at that point, I was feeling a little differently. But now that Oregon and Washington are coming with us, and I see that everyone's kind of going in a different direction, I think it's kind of just changed. No one really knows. A lot of people have asked, and I'm still in the Pac. I'm still representing the Pac, and I almost don't know what I don't know. So I think with it, I'm just going to enjoy every last moment, and I'm going to say winning the Pac-12 tournament was something that was really special, because at that moment we realized that was the last Pac-12 event. So that was a really special moment. But I don't really have a lot of emotion on what's next just yet. We're still Pac-12, and I would love for the Pac-12 to end on a really high note.
And then one more, just unrelated. Mike White said in the last couple of days that it's a huge advantage for OU to always have the World Series here. I know there's, it's a conversation that's been going on for a long time about potentially rotating it, but how do you sort of see that, and do you think it's an advantage for Oklahoma?
I'm just going to say, we're using terms like the crowd is white noise. I've won championships where we didn't have the most fans in the stands, but we definitely have our little section of blue. But it's part of the game. I don't think there's an advantage. I think the players on the field know that we've got to play. We know that it gets loud. We know that there could be more bodies wearing a certain color. I can tell you, I never look in the stands, so I really wouldn't know. But it's, I can't speak to things that are out of our control. And right now, this I've been able to be fortunate to play as a player here, and to be able to see the stadium grow, and to be able to see the stands get bigger, and the scoreboard's gotten, just everything that's come from how they've grown the sport. And this is the headquarters of the College World Series. Whether they're in, whether they're out, anytime that we get a chance to play, it's softball, and it's between the white lines. So I think for that, wherever it is, I want to be in it. And for now, I've been fortunate to have a lot of great memories in this stadium, no matter who we're playing against or who's in the stands.
More questions? Go, Justin in the back, third row.
Charlize, for you, you've got two young pitchers on your pitching staff that you've kind of gotten to see grow this year. Can you just tell me from your perspective what you've seen from Taylor Tinsley and Caitlin Terry as they've grown through the course of the year?
One of the biggest things that I've seen is just poise in big moments. It seems like the bigger the moment, the more focus that they get, and I think that they're craving those moments a little bit more as the season goes by. We've had some really big moments like in the Pac-12 tournament, and just like Taylor coming in to help KT and KT coming in to help Tins, and it's nice to see them both have such a good relationship with one another, a very supportive relationship, but also when they get on the mound, they mean business. So it's really been a cool thing to watch, see them support each other, but also shine on their own as well.
And then Maya, for you, you mentioned earlier, you do have something of a young offense, and you've got some players who've made an impact in the first couple of years, but also haven't played on the World Series stage before. You have. What is that experience for you, your experience there? How are you using that to kind of help them be ready this week and however many games you're here?
Yeah, for me, I have kind of been in their shoes. I've kind of been lucky enough to be on this stage and kind of be the inexperienced one and kind of just follow the lead of the people above me. But I feel like the biggest thing that I'm just trying to, instill in them is that at the end of the day, like Coach I is saying, it's softball. Whether we're at Easton Stadium or at the World Series, at the end of the day, like, we've been playing this game for 18, 19, 20 years of our lives. So I think at this point, just trying to instill in them that, like, the greatness is already in them. It's not something that they need to try and do more. They don't need to try to be anybody else. They just need to be themselves and just do what they can to, help the team win. At the end of the day, we talk a lot about the story of we is way more interesting than the story of I. And I think that if we come together like we have been in the later part of the year as a unit, I think that you're not going to be able to tell who's been here and who's not. So you're just going to see a lot of us smiling and having fun. So that's just what I'm trying to, tell them.
Right, we'll get a clip from the second round left.
All right, Coach, this is kind of a broad one. As you're aware, the agreement involving the NCAA and the conferences last week paves the way for schools to pay athletes directly. Softball's obviously grown, but this development could certainly affect it. Big picture in the sport, do you worry that this change could divert funds from softball to, say, paying football players, or do you believe that there's enough momentum in the sport and it's enough of a priority that it'll be beneficial?
That is a broad question, and I can say I couldn't tell you what's happening in the grander landscape of everybody else. I believe the sport has done an amazing job of growing viewership. We've gotten into the living rooms. People have fallen in love with the sport. There are conferences that have dedicated great resources, funds, facilities, coaching, salaries, all kinds of things to be able to support the sport. So unfortunately, I don't know if it's going to be broad-based for everybody, but I believe that softball has definitely has elevated to a priority sport on campuses and conferences across the country. So I don't fear the sport dying, but I do say I feel badly that I don't believe the amount of teams are going to be able to sustain what's coming in the future. So I don't know, but that's just potentially what could happen, because we've had conversations of understanding the impact of what could happen, knowing that every school is going to have to find a way to be able to fund all Olympic sports. So the world's in a crazy place. We don't really know what the future holds. I feel confident that softball at UCLA and wherever we are, I feel confident that we are a priority sport that's going to find ways to continue to get after winning championships. As far as everyone else, I'm just going to hope and pray that everyone finds a way as well.
More questions? Okay, I think that'll, second row on the right.
Elizabeth Flores, USA Today. Maya Brady, I have a question for you. You come from a family of very talented athletes. What have they taught you for this moment?
Yeah, I think the person that I've learned from the most in my family would probably be my mom. She was able to pitch on this stage, and I think probably from the first year that we were able to play here was 2021, which was obviously my first year kind of fully playing at UCLA following COVID and stuff like that. So it was kind of my first opportunity to play on the World Series stage as well. And I will never forget, like, driving to our first game, she had written me a letter, and she just literally told me to just soak in the moment, enjoy this time with my sisters, and, just never take a moment for granted, because you never know. Coming off last year, it was kind of scary. You don't know if you're ever going to come back. So I think just being here and, just trying to take in those lessons from my mom of appreciation and gratitude, and just enjoying the moment with my sisters and the coaching staff and the university that I love. So.
All right, this will be our last question. Cliff, second row left.
Coach, I wonder, I haven't seen very many coaches of color in my 10 years here. I wanted to know if Marissa Young and what she's done resonates with you.
Oh, I am the biggest fan. First and foremost, to the first part of your question, I've been in the sport for a long time, and that's true. We have evolved to a very diverse sport. If you look at our team, I'm proud of it. I think there's opportunity from coast to coast. Everyone now realizes that there's a place that you can play in our sport. You can pitch, you can hit, you can defend, you can run. There are so many different parts of our sport, and we're unique. You don't have to be 6 foot plus to be able to do it. You don't have to have a certain speed. We're a very unique sport, which leads to more opportunity. and we've been able to get into communities. And I think it makes me think about things like Natasha Watley, who is actually one of Marissa Young's best friends. And Natasha Watley has been a Bruin, played pro, played in Japan, came back, and now she's running her own foundation, giving back to the inner city kids in LA, creating opportunity for them as well. So the sport has grown. You know, that before you wouldn't see many women of color, coaching, playing, but we're in a different place, and I'm so proud of that. So we actually take time to be able to kind of stop and celebrate and learn. You know, I think being able to be surrounded by people that are not like you helps you be more prepared, to do great things and collaborate and have camaraderie and teamwork outside of sport. So there's an education piece, there's an awareness piece, but we celebrate it. So, but getting back to Marissa, I'm such a fan of what she's done as a player, as a coach. It's no surprise to me that her team is here. We got to face them in a super not too long ago, and we weren't surprised there, but she's just a quality coach, but a better person. So I'm excited for the fact that she's been able to build such a strong program and get to this stage so quickly. It says a lot.
All right, that'll wrap things up for UCLA.
Yep,
Thank you.
gotcha.